You hear about artificial intelligence everywhere, right? But what happens when it steps into one of the most deeply human parts of our lives, caring for the people we love? Are we looking at a future of incredible support and relief? Or are we stumbling into a danger we're not ready for? Okay, let's get into it and really unpack the complicated role AI is starting to play in the world of social care. It so often starts with a story just like this one. It feels incredibly personal, but at the same time, it's a story almost all of us understand. A sudden health crisis, a family member stepping up to do whatever it takes, and then that overwhelming weight of pure exhaustion. This isn't just one family's reality. It's the quiet truth playing out in millions of homes right now. And that one personal story, well, it's really the tip of the iceberg. It opens up into a much, much bigger conversation about a massive global challenge, the care crisis. And this isn't some problem looming on the horizon. It's here. We're living it.
Let's just start with a number. 75%. That's how much of all the unpaid care work in the entire world is done by women. Now, that is not just a statistic. It represents a massive hidden economy that's running entirely on dedication and personal sacrifice. It's absolutely essential, and it's almost completely invisible.
And all that sacrifice, it comes with a staggering price tag. The estimated value of that unpaid work is around 172 trillion US dollars in lost economic opportunities. Think about that. It's not just about the money. It's about the lost potential, the careers put on hold, and the economic hit that we all feel on a global scale. And the pressure is only getting more intense. In developed countries, more than 30% of households are now what we call the sandwich generation. These are the folks who are literally caught in the middle, caring for their kids while also caring for their aging parents. The result? You guessed it, massive burnout, and people being forced to leave their jobs.
So here's the bottom line. We have a system that is already stretched to its breaking point, and the demand for care is about to explode. It's projected to grow by 45% in just the next 10 years. We simply don't have enough human caregivers to meet that need. The math just doesn't add up.
Okay, so with a crisis this huge, where do we even begin to look for help? Well, part of the answer might just lie with artificial intelligence. And I'm not talking about some sci-fi futuristic idea. I'm talking about a practical tool that can actually start helping people today. Remember that father from the story at the beginning? Let's check back in with him. When his family started using some AI-powered tools for planning, his daily coordination time was cut by 40%. The medication reminders for his wife got 60% better, which took a huge load of worry off his shoulders. And this is the big one. It allowed him to keep working, which saved his income, sure, but it also kept him connected to the world outside of caregiving. And this isn't just a feel-good story about one family. When you look at the broader data, you see these benefits everywhere. We're talking a 30% drop in hospital readmissions for older folks, a 50% faster response time from caregivers, and maybe most importantly, a 25% reduction in caregiver stress. These are numbers that literally change lives. I mean, you look at those numbers and the answer seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? AI helps people. It improves health, it lowers stress. So it's the perfect solution, right? Case closed? Well, as you've probably guessed, it's not that simple. All of that incredible promise that AI offers, it comes with some really significant risks. And if we don't look them straight in the eye, we could end up creating a whole new mess of problems. So, we got to talk about the other side of this coin. To use this technology the right way, we have to be brutally honest about its dangers. So let's walk through 5 of the biggest pitfalls we have to figure out how to navigate. And these are some big hurdles. First up, bias. How do we stop AI from just learning and amplifying the inequalities that already exist in our healthcare system? Then there's data privacy. We're talking about our most sensitive health info here. Next is the risk of dehumanization, the fear that we automate so much we lose that vital human touch. That leads to skill degradation, where caregivers might actually get worse at their jobs because they rely too much on the tech. And finally, the one everyone talks about, job displacement. Is AI coming to replace human caregivers altogether? Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom. For every single one of those pitfalls, there are ways to move forward. This isn't about slamming the brakes on technology, it's about grabbing the steering wheel. So let's look at some real, practical solutions for building an AI for care that actually puts humans first. So how do you fight bias in an algorithm? Well, you start with transparency. Using open source code lets people look under the hood to see how the AI is making its decisions. Next, you have to feed it the right diet. That means diverse training data from all kinds of people, not just one group.
And finally, you need a watchdog, an independent ethics board that's constantly auditing these systems to catch unfairness before it does real harm. Now, our health data, that stuff is deeply personal. Security here isn't just a feature, it's non-negotiable. That means locking it down with things like end-to-end encryption. It means having super strict controls so only the right people can see the right information. And it means constantly testing your defenses, like a fire drill for your data to find weak spots before the bad guys do. Because when it comes to healthcare, trust is everything. And this leads me to maybe the most important idea in this whole discussion, what we call human in the loop. This is our main defense against the dehumanization of care. Think of the AI as the co-pilot. It gives you the data, it makes suggestions, but the human pilot is always the one making the final call. The judgment, the empathy, the connection, that always stays with the person. But, having a human in the loop is only half the battle if that human starts to, well, get a little rusty. We have to actively prevent that. That means things like mandatory training without the AI's help to keep those fundamental skills sharp. It means using AI that can explain its thinking, so it's a teaching tool. And it means rotating staff through old school workflows so they never forget how to do the job on their own. So here's a really key takeaway. This is not about replacement, it's about rebalancing the work. Let the AI handle the stuff it's good at, the endless paperwork, the repetitive monitoring, the scheduling nightmares. That frees up our human caregivers to double down on what only they can do, provide complex emotional support, make nuanced judgments, and build the kind of trust and empathy that is the real heart of care. Look, getting this right isn't something you do once and then walk away. It means we have to build a whole system for oversight, for adaptation, and for constant improvement to make sure this technology always serves our human values. So how do we actually do that? How do we build something that lasts? You need 3 key pillars. First, you need a governance council that has everyone at the table: the tech folks, the policymakers, the patients, the caregivers. Second, you need total transparency through things like annual reports so we can all see what's working and what isn't. And finally, you need a constant feedback loop from the people actually using this stuff on the front lines. That's how you get better. And that's really the end goal here, isn't it? A future where we use AI not just to be more efficient, but to bring more humanity back into care. A future that lifts the crushing burden from families, that respects caregiving as a profession, and that improves life for both the person getting care and the person giving it. So I want to leave you with one last question to chew on. We've seen that AI can absolutely lighten the physical and logistical burden of care. But the real work, the real burden that falls on us, is this. Who is responsible for making sure our AI actually cares about us? That's on us.